Brittany Force. Holy moly, what a weekend for Brittany Force and the John Force Racing Team. Crew Chief David Grubnick, dominating performance, continuing to kick ass and take names out here in what, in my opinion, this humble writer's opinion, has been the most interesting season of Top Fuel drag racing that I honestly can remember. Took out rival Steve Torrance in the final round, his first final round appearance of 2022. I don't want to steal all the tidbits, but I will say this one, man. She set a new track record. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
This is a string of stats
track
right here.
Record during all 3 runs in Virginia. Also set the speed record, and Brittany Force holds, this is a really cool stat that I think needs to be talked about, 9 of the 10 fastest runs in the history of Top Fuel drag racing have been made by Brittany Force, man. What can you say about this team right now, Mike?
I think it's all coming together. We talked about it earlier this year. We even had Brittany on the show. We said, and no knock to Brittany, that if she improved on the starting line, and that if they could get consistent, that they're going to be tough to beat, because we know that Grubnick is the home run hitter and will break records. And I think what you're seeing, I mean, they're hitting the home runs, they're setting the records, and they're going out and winning races. She's killing it on the tree. Whatever she's doing differently this year, whatever she worked on in the offseason, I think made a huge difference. She has track ET records at 11 of the 19 tracks on the current circuit. And she's 15-4 this year, 3 wins in 7 races. 1 win away from tying her best record in a single season. And we're in race 5 or 6 or 7. I just said 7. So, yeah, she had
a 7, right? 1, 3, and 7. And
she had a 065 against Langdon's 057 in eliminations. She left on Torrance and Salinas. We don't have the numbers in front of us, but she got off the line first in those matchups. So you're just seeing a hot team right now where it's all coming together.
Question: is it dangerous to get this hot this early?
I don't know. And we'll see that through the summer. I think it'll be interesting to see if, and of course this was the weather was warm and humid there this weekend. We'll see how Grubnick and that team fare throughout the hottest stretch. I always feel like for a team that swings for the fences or that can go out there and set a record, backing it down is more difficult than hitting a home run in perfect conditions. So we'll see if they can keep that consistency up throughout the summer. And if they do, or even if they fall off a little bit in the fall, I think that, they're going to have the advantage again.
Well, let's hear from Brittany, another one who has really stepped up her game in front of the camera. I mean, when she was on the show a few months ago, crushed it. One of the best interviews, the best interview that we've ever had with her. She's been on the cover of Drag Illustrated. She's an absolute bona fide drag racing superstar, but we've really seen her come out of her shell in 2022, get a little louder and prouder about what she's accomplishing out here. And let's hear her check in with Amanda Busick on the top end at Virginia Motorsports.
The last 4 Wallies of this season have gone home with Brittany Force. And Brittany, how would you describe this era for yourself?
This has been our greatest season yet, to come on this strong with this many wins. This Flavor Pack team, we finally won in our Flavor Pack car. I'm so excited, and we got off to, we were #1 qualifier. And coming out this morning, when first round we blew the tires off the thing, it's hard to get confident after a run like that when there's heat all day. And then we just kept stepping up our runs. So this Wally right here is for David Grubnick, because he makes the impossible happen. Thank you to all my guys. Thank you to the fans.
When you go back to the starting line, was there any moment that you felt like you were being hung out there?
Well, it's Steve, so he always pulls a little something. That's how he drives, that's fine. I just prepare myself for it. And really, preparing is going up there, not thinking about it, not letting it distract you, and finding that amber and stepping on it. So, feels good. Thank you to my sponsors, Flavor Pack, Monster Energy, NK Seeds, Team Chevrolet, and the list goes on. But thank you again. Thank you to the fans. Thank you to my team.
There you have it. Brittany Force, man. I guess I wasn't following along. I decided I must have missed. I didn't notice that Steve, did he hang her out a little bit there? I was trying to find our old buddy Rick Green's notes over here on dragracecentral.com. Shout out to one of the OGs. Where is this at here? Let me see if there's any notes. Force with a slight starting line advantage. No mention of any sort of drama on the tree. But
even if there is, great.
That's great. More power to him.
That's as long as it was within legal limits, which surely it was, great. And I think that that's awesome. I love to hear her excitement.
I know.
The
Emotion.
shades of
she
John
was-
Force in that
Yep.
interview, 100 miles an hour, out of breath, can't say everything fast enough. And she definitely, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree on that. So it's exciting, like you said, to kind of see her come out of her shell and maybe be a little bit more comfortable showing that excitement, rather than, trying to be so buttoned up.
It would be hard to come out of that shell when you're behind John Force for so many years, right?
Right.
And you're living in his shadow. And props to her.
Because she's, I mean, I really, that shades of John Force. This is a bold statement, but I feel like right now, if she's already won a world championship. You know what I mean? We're acting like she hasn't.
I think that's forgotten.
We
a lot of
forget.
times.
We do. I think we forget that she's already done it, But let's be honest. To have success right now, Steve Torrence has only been to one final, hasn't won a race yet. We talked about it in the buildup to the 2022 season, that this is going to be a different look. I think we will forever be talking about the Top Fuel eliminator in 2022. Like, this will be something that we reference. Like,
But he's
this
still right
reminds me of
there.
the NBA in the
he's second
90s or in the
point.
80s, right? When everybody talks about it. Yo, yeah. Are you talking about John or Steve?
Steve.
He's right there,
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you can't count him out.
Oh, and I don't think they're worried, right? They're second in the points. They're hanging back, and they likely know that getting hot this early in the season can be problematic. Shout out to Dion Walrath, our producer here on the Wes Buck Show. He sent us notes. Brittany was 076 in the opening stanza, 65 in the second round, 61 in the semis, and 074 over Steve Torrance's 078 there in the final. She's definitely doing her job based on those stats, man. 11 of the 19 tracks on the current NHRA circuit have their records held by Brittany Force and David Grubnick. 9 of the 10 fastest runs in the history of Top Fuel by Brittany Force and David Grubnick. So when you've got the driver doing her job and you've got a tuner that's doing his job, they are going to be tough to beat. And it will be fun to watch to see if they're able to maintain this momentum, because now they're going to start, not that they haven't, but now all eyes are on them. You're going to start contending with that racing from out front. It's a different deal. Playing from behind, it's easy to get up. It's easy to get motivated, right? You're trying to prove a point. You're the underdog. Everybody's counted you out. When you make the move to favorite and you get that target on your back and you get everybody's best punch, you get a haymaker every time, it definitely changes things. And it's going to be a curious midway portion of the NHRA drag racing season. Mike, before we move on from the Brittany Force conversation, I just want to touch on that hot rod of hers, right? We see that thing bouncing around different to Monster Energy drink for an event, flavor pack for an event. What do you make of that, right? I mean, you know the nuances of the decal and the vinyl game as much as anybody. Is that a trend that we're going to see more and more? It popped up in NASCAR, hasn't gone away. Is that something that we're going to see more and more of? Is that maybe something that we need to attribute to JFR? That approach to their marketing? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's when you're running an operation, JFR and DSR are probably the closest to a NASCAR level team as far as budget and expenses. And I think that if you're trying to run a team at those levels in today's economy and in today's, environment, there's just not the teams or the companies aren't out there. They're going to write huge checks for full season sponsorships. So the way around it is to put together 2, 3, 4 primary sponsors that split the races, and then a bunch of associate sponsors. That the flavor pack car looks good because it's that neon yellow. It definitely stands out. But if you can just look at it, I mean, that thing is smattered with decals, and John's car is too. They've got them everywhere, and that's just what it takes. And it may not be aesthetically pleasing. I think everybody would love to go out there and run a, all black car or one sponsor like some of these guys do. And that's the dream. But if you're out there running this as a business, like we know that John Force and DSR and some of these other teams do, that's what it's going to take.
Can we get Jordan to sponsor a car?
Yeah, right. You love that.
Did you see the Kurt Busch car?
Yeah, that thing
that he won in last weekend. Oh
my
God,
the elephant print. For those that haven't seen it, look it up. Just a really, really well done sponsorship.
That's another example. I feel like that car probably has more decals on it usually, but whatever the deal is, I just, the way the Jordan brand manages their appearance, they were like, all the rest of this stuff's got to go. And we're going to keep, McDonald's and whatever couple of others that were on it. And we're going to just, half the car is going to be elephant print. So, sometimes you're able to do that. Sometimes you're not.
It's a pretty
awesome.
impressive thing, in my
So that's some of
opinion.
his monster stuff on it, but yeah, it was mostly.
I will say that the Black Monster energy drink car, I mean, if you go back to the Kenny Bernstein Funny Car program, that was like exactly what you're talking about, Mike. One logo on the sides of each car, very simple, and it worked. I kind of wish we saw more of those elephant print, like super busy paint jobs in NASCAR that we see in road racing, NASCAR, rally racing, like all that other stuff. I wish some of that will infiltrate drag racing a little more than it has. I'm hoping to see some of that now that we see guys like Tony Stewart operating in our space. I think we may see that be a eventual layer to his involvement, that he'll be introducing some of these different concepts.
They're rotating. You mentioned Tony
Yeah.
Stewart. I've left him out of that. The JFR DSR deal. We've got to talk about Tony Stewart. Obviously, that team falls in that category as well. Leah's car changes weekly, and this week the Mobil 1 car, that's a good looking car, and they go more the route of just clean, and that sponsor has complete branding for that weekend. So it's a little bit of a different approach to me. It seems like JFR has all of their sponsors represented, but they switch as far as which one's primary.
Right.
And then DSR and TSR just go full in for that race with that sponsor and really go all out with the branding and aesthetic for that company.